some of you that may have been in for my first presentation, you may hear some similar echoes to some of the things that I was addressing there. But what I'm actually doing with this grant is I'm working to pull probeware into Modernize My Science Classroom. I know there's this big push for labs and hands-on, and we're all about that. I'm all about that. But one of the things that I have realized for myself and for my students is that sometimes in science, we're lacking the 21st century part of that. We're used to the sit and get microscopes. We're used to some of the labs where it's just, let me mix some chemicals and do this and that. And one of the things that my kids usually miss from that is they miss the analysis that they could get from elsewhere. So one of the things that I've done with this grant is I've actually done some research into vernier technology, and I have invested in some GoLink probeware that actually emphasizes and reaches out with our district's one-to-one initiative. And I purchased probeware that would work with the capacity of my students' computers so they can actually collect electronic data when we're doing labs like temperature researches, temperature changes, gas chambers, to where they can monitor the amounts of gas produced by actual living things. Particularly one of the instances that I'm looking at, I want to run 2 primary experiments with this, a calorimetry experiment where they're looking at temperature changes from biochemicals, like to emphasize that fact of like dietary purpose and dietary need. As humans, we have to eat, and actually looking at the energy obtainment that we get from the foods that we eat. And the second component of this, I actually want to run a second energy lab, kind of feeding directly into that same unit. I want to run a cellular respiration lab where they actually get to look at how crickets respire. So what I've purchased with the funding from this grant was a class set of 6 probes that could actually be connected to student desks or to student laptops, and then I purchased stainless steel temperature probes and CO2 gas chambers. I do hope to extend this a little bit as we transition through the year, maybe through some other grants. I actually did apply for a vernier grant also. That's nationwide, so I'm not getting my hopes up too much. But I'm hoping to get some additional probes like oxygen sensors, and they have heart rate monitors and things like that, so the kids can actually use those in a series of lessons throughout the year. A couple of different aspects of things that I think they're going to get from this. Right now as a district, we're really focusing on transitioning data to make tests and make assessments that resemble ACT-like basis, because we know that's the big emphasis right now. We want to get kids to be modernized. We want them to be ACT ready. We want them to be college ready. We want them to be exposed to the things and the technologies that they're going to use in college. But if they don't have access to the technologies that they're going to see in college, it's kind of like we're just talking and throwing information above their heads. So what I really want to do is dig into the trenches to where they're doing graphical analysis, they're seeing graphs, and with the vernier series that I purchased, they actually get, it's Logger Pro. It's a program that actually, like when they plug the programs into their computer, and I have a school-wide license for it now, they actually generate the data. It'll graph their data and give them a table format, so they're not sitting there spending 20 minutes plotting points and doing things like that we know we've done since 5th grade. They have the graphical analysis there, and all they have to do is look at the trend and the workwear, and they can actually make strong hypotheses based on the information that they're presented with then. All of the content from these activities and from the use of the probeware, they fall directly into the program of studies with the Next Generation Science Standards, because it does allow students to do complete data collection and analysis on their own. It's also something that, you know, as a teacher, one of the things that I always stress about when it's lab day, I only have 45 minutes. Well, if I need to do a lab in 45 minutes, I don't have time to sit there and monitor technology problems. I don't have time to sit there and let them do repeated trials because they forgot to hold the thermometer a certain way. By using this electronic probeware, it kind of takes all that busy work away. It's a plug-in, they get instant data, and we can run multiple series of labs in that 45-minute period that used to take maybe 3-4 days. So that's kind of where I'm gearing this activity. Any questions about the probeware or the activities? You can purchase an interface that'll connect through TI. I purchased specifically, they're called GoLinks. They're designed for a Microsoft series, and that's what our one-to-one initiative is, so I went with it. They also have standalone interfaces that would be ideal for even some of the activities that you're talking about. those are ones that you could actually take out into the field and do some research with. And there's a couple different series of those. The cost is a little much. Yes. And if you do have series of laptops, you can use that, get the Logger Pro license, and then they can take the laptop right out in the field. So it was kind of the difference. I think the interfaces were nearly $350. The GoLink probes that I purchased were only $89. So it's a big difference just in availability for the classrooms. Anything else? Thank you all.